I'm just trying to change your mind on the issues that are at hand. So you can stay a Republican if you are the fifth year Republican. You can stay a Democrat if you're a seventh generation Democrat, but you need to vote your interests. So all I'm saying is, folks, pay attention to what's going on around there here. And what I'm here to talk about is the Ohio Voter Bill of Rights. The Ohio Voter Bill of Rights is a constitutional change to the Ohio Constitution to put our voting rights in there. I'm so tired of every other year the politicians in Columbus changing our voting rights, reducing our voting hours, trying to take away our voting rights by suppressing our vote. They want to stop what we did in 2008 and 2012. Now, I'm nonpartisan, I can't tell you that was Barack Obama, but they're trying to stop that. We have petitions. We need to gather about 385,000 signatures by next year to put this on the ballot in November of next year so that we can put our voting rights in the Constitution so that they can quit trying to reduce the number of early voting by saying that there's fraud, by saying that people are illegally voting, and I think the statistics Reese is 0.002% of people are committing voter fraud. 0.002. For you math majors out there, you know what I'm talking about, right? So folks, do me a favor. I know it's late, but if you can just take just 5 minutes and stand in line and sign the Ohio Voter Bill of Rights. All we're trying to do is put it on the ballot so that the politicians in Columbus will stop making the decisions for us. What did you say, Representative Reese? We're trying to make a permanent solution to a permanent problem. And the problem is they're trying to suppress our vote. So if there's a long line up there, just do me a favor. That chicken dinner that's at home, it'll be there, it'll wait. Just take your time and sign it. If you're not registered to vote, we got voter registration forms out there. We will register you, we'll get you signed up for the Ohio Voter Bill of Rights, we'll educate you, we'll keep you informed, and we will see you on Election Day when the Ohio Voter Bill of Rights will pass here in the great state of Ohio. Thank you, sisters and brothers, and God bless.
We will now hear from Representative Alicia Reese, representing the 33rd District of Ohio and President of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus.
Good evening, Central State University. Oh my goodness, I thought I was at Central State. I'm a historically black college graduate. Good evening, Central State University. Okay, that's better, that's better. To the Vice President Provost Ford, and I went to Grambling State University. I know he's here at Central State now, and he was a college mate of mine. Charles Shahid, I believe, is in the building. I want to thank him. And yes, Charles. And to my good brother, Andre Washington from A. Philip Randolph. I'm going to pull this off because I can't see you guys. From A. Philip Randolph. Let's give him another round of applause. He's going all over the state. We're in the history classes learning about A. Philip Randolph. This is our state president. And to the wonderful mayor here, I want to thank you for having us. Thank you for your leadership. And thank you for being here. To our great NAACP president, thank you. All the work that the NAACP is doing, we've read about them. They're right here. They've been on the front lines for so many years. My good bishop, who you'll hear from, Bishop Bobby Hilton, and president of the National Action Network. I'm on the national board, and we want to thank him for his leadership. To my brother Quentin, we talked about mentors. This is my mentee, and I'm extremely proud of him. Give it up for one of your own from Central State. And to my sister, see, Cincinnati, we bring folks here to Central State, the best talent. You read about Nikki Giovanni, ladies and gentlemen, the next Nikki Giovanni of our lifetime. Sister Samana, she speaks. Let's give it up one more time. I'm not afraid of you, black man. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus, and as they've indicated, I'm the state representative of the 33rd District. But I want to take those hats off for a moment and talk to you as a sister from a historically black college who one day sat where you sat at Grambling State University. I left Cincinnati and I went down to Grambling, and my goal was just to go down there and get my education. I said, oh my goodness, I just can be a college student. I don't have to be in the marches that I was in with my parents who were civil rights leaders. They always made me go to marches. I was always involved with Reverend Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or the unions or the NAACP. I said, I'm going to Grambling, nobody knows me, and I can just be a student. Let me just go to class and have some fun when I'm allowed to. I get down to Grambling State University down in Louisiana, had never visited the campus. Got there, and something changed my life. My second year at Grambling State University, there was a guy by the name of David Duke. David Duke, for those of you who don't know him, is a former KKK Grand Wizard. David Duke got up and said, I'm running for governor for the state of Louisiana. Now, I was a college student like many of you. Well, what does that have to do with me? I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I mean, this is a Louisiana problem. I know I'm going to be down here for 4 years, but really doesn't have anything to do with me. Well, David Duke running for governor meant he was going to control the budget for my state. It said Grambling State. You know how we say God bless, is God, state, and central state is in there. That means the state people who get elected mean something. So Cecil Thomas running for state senate, it means something because he's going to be over the budget for Central State. Alicia Reed, state representative, it means something because we're going to be over the budget. I sit on finance for Central State. So it mattered to me that I was in Louisiana, I was going to be here for 4 years, and I want to make sure the budget is right because I want my scholarship. He got up and said, I got a great plan for Grambling State University. Let's make a jail and close it down as a school. We can make more money if we can put more African Americans in jail than give them degrees. I jumped up out the bed. I said, wait a minute, my friends, they were dancing. Girl, let's get to the next party. It's on. What are you talking about, Alicia? All this politics. I said, they trying to shut us down. They don't want to educate, they want to incarcerate. We got to get up and get moving. So we put together a voter registration mobilization campaign. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had the Alphas and all the fraternities, the Kappas and the AKAs and everybody who thought they was popular. And we got buses. And we used a thing called student ID that qualified us to vote in Louisiana, where we would be staying for the next couple of years. We ended up mobilizing 7,000 young people. 7,000. And we defeated David Duke, and Grambling is still swinging today. My point to you today is we got to turn anger into action. We're mad about what happened to Mike Brown. We're mad about what happened to Trayvon Martin. We are saying release those tapes immediately with John Crawford. But we got to take some action. We can't just get mad and get on Facebook and then go to bed. We appreciate all the likes. But if you're that popular, I want to get all the likes into votes. And so today I'm coming to you, Central State, a black college graduate to another black college student. It's time for the black college to stand up. Dr. King came up out of the black college, and he had an idea. And his idea was to have a voting rights act. An act had never been done before. You'll read about it in your history classes. What they won't tell you is that it started in the basement of a church when everybody said you cannot do it. You have no money, you're not a lawyer, you're African American, and how you gonna go from slavery to desegregation and then got the nerve to want to have some voting rights? Dr. King started with God. That's why it says God first. And he had this crazy idea to have a voting rights act. And he went on to take us from slavery to a voting rights act, which is temporary, has to be renewed every 7 years. And I remember when I was in college, I said, wait a minute, because we done defeated David Duke. I had all this energy. I said, we gonna do this. Why do I have to worry about every 7 years my voting rights being renewed. I'm an American citizen. And I remember one of my elders said, young lady, don't worry about that. They'll never be crazy enough to touch the Voting Rights Act. Well, I'm here to tell you they're crazy. And I know we say be nonpartisan, but I'm saying vote your interest. If they're not for your voting rights, they shouldn't get your vote. And so I got a chance to speak at the March on Washington, the little girl from Grambling State University, all the way to where Dr. King stood last year, 50 years later. 200,000 people. I was so nervous. I always say Beyonce had the Super Bowl, I had the March on Washington. But right before the speech, we got the news that the Voting Rights Act, Section 5, the teeth of it, was ruled by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. My biggest fear. I said, oh my God. So the question becomes, where do we go from Dr. King? Dr. King's generation did their job. It's time for us to do ours. And so we went from slavery to the temporary Voting Rights Act. Now it's time to get inside the Constitution. And so at the March on Washington, I announced no more temporary solutions to permanent problems. It's time for a voter bill of rights to be put in the Constitution. Ohio is the battleground state. You cannot get to the White House without coming through Ohio. So Ohio is now what Selma was to the Voting Rights Act. And so our generation has it easy. We don't have to worry about dogs being turned on us. We read about it. We don't have to worry about blood being shed on Edmund Pettus Bridge. We ain't even shed no blood. We don't even have to worry about going to jail to try to vote. All we got to do is sign our names to a petition. Now, if we're too lazy to sign our names, but we on Facebook smiling and saying we're popular, we're not really popular. We now are going to have a movement to put our voting rights on the ballot. Now, how many of y'all voted for Obama? How many of y'all want to make sure the president stays in office and not be impeached? Put your hands up. How many of y'all upset about what happened to John Crawford? How many of y'all mad about Mike Brown? How many of y'all gonna do something about it? How many of y'all have signed the Voter Bill of Rights? Today we're calling, that's okay, you might not have known about it. I'm getting it to you. I want you to do two things. Number one, I want you to hashtag. I know y'all like the hashtag. We're hashtagging turn up the number 4 voting rights. Turn up for voting rights. I want you to hashtag that out tonight. Number 2, I don't want you to leave until you sign the Voter Bill of Rights. Number 3, if you are not registered to vote, we want you to register. And number 4, we want to challenge you. Central State, I want y'all to have the largest turnout in the history of Central State going to the polls. This election is not about voting for the president. We have made history. We have done that. We have shown that we can be the number 1 ethnic group, which we are. African Americans is number 1 in voting in the last presidential election, first time in history. And that's why there are voter suppression laws. They want to get rid of college ID. They want to make sure the weekend hours are cut. They're even picking up different boards of elections and moving it to places that only have 1 bus line because you turned out and you showed out. But this election, I'm asking you to go out and vote for yourself. You showing up and voting is a vote for yourself. And so today I just ask you to do as I did not too long ago as a college student from a black college. When we stood up and said enough is enough, we will be heard, we will be on record, and we will